Okay, so this video focuses on working with integers, specifically how you solve integer sums and a lot to do with structure when solving integer sums. So a lot of times learners have been able to just put an answer or put a sum into a calculator and get an answer, but not really know what they just did or how this whole sum works. So we're going to talk about structure, we're going to talk about rules, and we're going to talk about procedure and how to get an answer with your integer sums. So, the first thing I want to start off with is the actual structure for a sum. Let's look at a simple sum where we're not even really worried about integers, alright? So, we're just focusing on structure first. So, with our structure, remember if you get your structure wrong, even if you get the answer right, you could lose marks in the middle. And when the time comes where you can't simply plug a sum into a calculator and you don't understand structure, if that time comes, then you're not going to get any marks because structure is what helps you to win those marks. So, with structure, let's say we had question 1, and question 1 was 3 squared plus 4 squared minus the cube root of 100. Uh, and that was just that. So, first thing I want you to remember is that with you're gonna need to do some working out. You are gonna need to do some calculations, some steps, some extra things for yourself just to help you along with your sum. But you can't just do it anywhere. You see, this area here belongs to your sum. The area below it belongs to your answer. So everything underneath this should be how you've simplified that to get your answer. There should be no specific working out here. For working out, what I like to do is I like to create a line and have a section that I know this space is now to do my working out. Now, what do I mean by working out? Let's see. Let's say in this sum you've got 3 squared and you want to work out what 3 squared is. Obviously, we know this by heart, but there are times when you have to do working out, and I'm just showing you where you do it and how you do it. So for example, you don't want to do 3 squared, you can say 3 squared equals 3 times 3 equals 9, and you just like made a note on the side of it. Alright, so your working out is on that side. So 4 squared equals to 4 times 4 equals to 16. What about the square root of 100? You can say the square root of 100 is equal to 10. These are just your working outs, right? You don't even need to have them, but when you do want to do working out, it has to be away from your answer. Now, let's get back to our actual sum. How do you solve something like this? You solve something like this by step 1, putting an equals to sign. Remember that. That's the first and most important thing. This equals to sign helps you structure the sum in your mind and know what goes where. For example, you've got a sum here and you've written equals to sign. So that means everything that's gonna go here should still be equal to whatever was above there. That's the concept. You can't just write random things here. They've gotta come from somewhere and they've gotta come from the line above. So every single thing has to come from somewhere. So in this case, we're gonna break it down. We're gonna start, let's say, by 3 squared. We'll see our 3 squared and we'll write down what we think this is going to be beneath that. So 3 squared we know is going to be 9. Alright? The plus follows that directly. 4 squared will become 16. The minus under the minus sign. Square root of 100 is gonna be 10. Right, so all I've done in the step is simplify those three squares and square roots. And in the next step, I'm going to go ahead and try and simplify this now. So, according to your board mass, right, one thing you've also got to remember now is your board mass. Always follow the board mass uh, steps. So, brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So now in this case, we have 9 plus 26, and we know that answer is going to be 25. So look at where I've written the 25. I've written it underneath these two because I know that 9 plus 26, 9 plus 16 gives me this 25. So that's the way it came from. It's this simplification that gave me this. But what else do I notice because of my structure is that I never put this anywhere. I need to carry that down so it will go over there, right? In the next step, I'll work that out now. And now in this case, 25 minus 10 is going to be 15. And that allows me to finish it off with a structure where I have equals to signs on each line. Each thing comes from something. Everything can be traced. Every number doesn't has a procedure, has a logical flow behind it. Every single thing here comes from somewhere. So when you're doing this, when you're doing a structure, let's make a few things to remember. Number one, equals to sign. Always your equals to sign. Number two, we're only gonna try to change one thing at a time. Alright? Change one thing at a time. And number three, let's write below the other. Okay, so everything should be written one below the other, right? So one below the other. Right, so that has to do with structure. So we're gonna keep that in mind and let's go into some of our laws of our integer rules, right? So our integer rules, for the first thing, we have adding and subtracting. Alright, for adding and subtracting, we use the concept of a number line. Alright, for example, if you had 20 minus 35, the concept will be you start at this number and you jump this many times and you jump in this direction. Alright, so we start from the number 20, jump 35 to the negative, which is going to be your left hand side. Alright, so let's see how that works now. So we're going to start at our 20. So suppose our 20 is somewhere here. I'm not going to fill in every single number in this case. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the main concept or just keep focus on the main concept. So we should have 20 somewhere and we know we'll have a 0. Now we're jumping to the left. So if you're jumping from 20 to the left, we have to jump 35 times. So jumping 35 times is not easy to show, but the main thing is we're going to try and remember how we're getting there. So jumping from 20 to the left, if you jump 20 times this way, if you jump 20 times this way, you'll end up at 0. You've jumped 20 times. How many more times do you have to jump out of your 35? So you already jumped 20 here. You still have to jump another 15. So after you jump another 15, you're gonna end up at negative 15. And that's gonna be your answer over here. Okay? This works with adding and subtracting integers. That's just one example for now. Now, there's a little table that we want to have a look at here. This is a table that works with your signs, and it's something that's good to by heart. And I'll tell you when we're going to use it now. We're going to use this table in two conditions. Condition number one is when you have signs that are next to each other. For example, you've got a negative and a negative next to each other, or a positive and a negative, or a positive and a positive, or whatever the situation. If you have signs next to each other, you use this. Or number two, when you are multiplying or dividing integers, then we'll need to use this table. This table simply says if you've got a positive and a positive, your answer is positive. Or if you've got a negative and a positive, your answer is negative. Or a negative and a negative, your answer is going to be positive. So this table you need to know by heart. Now, let's forget about these rules for a second. Okay, we're gonna keep them in mind, but let's just move away and start practicing them. Now let's practice them and see if they actually start to make sense. Number one, negative 7 plus 12. This is adding and subtracting integers. There's no multiplication and there's no signs next to each other. So what do? We follow the number line procedure. Okay, so your number line procedure says, I'm gonna have to start at negative 7. I'm gonna have to jump 12 to the right. Remember, there's a 0 somewhere. So if I'm jumping this way, I can jump 7 times until I reach 0, and then I still have to jump another 5 more times. So I should end up at a positive 5. So in this case, equals to underneath it, my answer is going to be a positive 5. Number 2, 15 minus 23. Pause the video, attempt the question, write down an answer before I do the solution. So again, number line starting at 15. Remember, there's a 0 somewhere. We're going to jump 23 to the left. So obviously I can jump 15 times until I get to 0. How many more times do I jump after that? Well, I've got to jump another 8 times. So that'll leave me at negative 8. So my answer is going to be negative 8. Once again, here's another question. This time, definitely pause the video, have an attempt, have a go at it, and then come back and let's have a look. Right, now, the first thing you've noticed is we've got a different situation with a positive and a negative next to each other. Remember what happens when you have two signs next to each other? When you have signs next to each other, we go to this table and a positive and a negative next to each other. So we have a positive and a negative. It will give us a negative. So let's make a note of that. So this positive and this negative will give us a negative. Now remember, we're only going to change one thing at a time. Let's only change one thing at a time. So I change those signs into 1. Let's bring the rest of our sum down. So now we have negative 9 minus 6, number line time. Starting at negative 9, I'll just have to jump 6 to the left, which will give me negative 15. And so my answer is going to be negative 15. Right, remember, we're following structure and rules and we're trying to make sure we get what's going on. So, negative 14 plus 5. Pause, attempt, go for it. Now, number line again. You're starting at negative 14, but this time you're jumping 5 to the right. You don't get to the 0, you just go 5 to the right, and then you end up at negative 9. So your answer here is negative 9. Number 5. 18 minus negative 7. Alright, equals to underneath it. We've got one of those situations with two signs next to each other, and two negatives next to each other will give you a positive. So we're gonna go ahead and add our positive and just put the rest of the stuff down. Remember that we changed these two into a positive, so they disappear and you get the positive, and then the rest follows. And now you just got to sum 18 plus 7, and you don't even need to apply a number line. This is your standard calculation, and it's going to give you 25. Right, now let's go into a little bit more. So number 6, negative 6 times 7. Now you notice that we don't have pluses or minuses in the middle. Now we've got a multiplication. So when you're multiplying and dividing integers, we have to use this table more consistently. Let's see what that means. That means equals. Now we need to first identify the sign on both of these integers. The negative 6, well, that's negative, and your 7 has an invisible positive. So let's look at it. A negative and a positive being multiplied. According to our table, a negative and a positive should give you a negative. So let's go ahead and put that down. So it'll give us a negative, and then we're gonna go ahead and multiply them. 6 times 7, and that's gonna give you 42. So your answer is gonna be negative 42. Straightforward, right? So this is now applying your table and your multiplication or division, right? Now we're gonna go ahead and try this one. 48 divided by negative 6. So please pause the video, have a go at it, and let's see how it goes. Now that you're back, we need to first identify the sign in both integers. The 48 is positive and the 6 is negative. When you have a positive and a negative, you're gonna get a negative answer. And then we'll go ahead and do 48 divided by 6, alright? And that's gonna give you 8. Now let's think about something, okay? Or well, let's see. We haven't really been doing working out, but let's do a bit of working out just to show you for those last two what we've done. So for the number 6, we had a negative and a positive next to each other, and we said that's equal to a negative. That's why our answer is negative. And for the numbers, we said 6 times 7, and that's equal to 42. That's why we got the 42. Okay, and just a little bit more to give you some enrichment so you know exactly what we're doing and how we're going about doing it. Number 8. For number 8, let's try negative 9. Number equals to. Okay, so a negative and a negative is equal to a positive. And then you've got 9 times 5, which is going to give you what? 45. So your answer should be positive 45. Alright. I'm gonna stop there with the multiplication and division. Let's make it interesting now. Let's put them together. So we did question 8. Let's do question 9. Alright, so it's a bit of a long video. You don't have to watch it all in one sitting. So, in fact, I recommend watch a bit, take a break, and watch the rest of it later. In fact, this is a good time to take a break because we're now adding and doing a little bit more at once. So, if you want to take a break, go for it. Now, let's have a look over here. With this one, we automatically realize we've got to do board math, right? There's no other way. It's plus and divide, different things happening. We gotta go and put in our board math. So remember, you're gonna go in into our board math. So there's no brackets of there's a division. Our division is over here. So we're gonna be dividing the integer before the division, which is positive 18, divided by 6. That's what we're doing. In order to divide that, we need to know the sign on both our integers. 18 is positive and 6 is positive. Let's do some working out. A positive and a positive is going to equal to a positive. And then 18 divided by 6 is going to equal to 3. Okay, we've done our working out. Let's see what's going to happen. So let's start from our left hand side. We read from left to right. So let's go from this way. Did we change our negative 3? Well, no, we didn't do anything to it. We did division. So we're just going to bring it down underneath it on the top line. So wherever it was, we just brought it down. But the 18 divided by 6, that becomes a positive 3. And then you've got negative 3 plus 3. So when you apply a number line now, you say, alright, I'm at negative 3 and I jump 3 to the right. Won't I end up at 0? So then my answer is just going to be 0. Okay, so again, structure, working out on the side, keep this situation and you'll be good to go. Let's go again. 20 minus 4 times 3. Alright, working outline. Let's begin. We notice that we have different things going on. BODMAS, brackets, nothing. Off, okay, it's fine. Division, multiplication. So here we've got a multiplication, and it's the integer before it, which is negative 4, times the integer after it, which is 3. So negative 4 times 3, and the 3 will have a positive sign. So your negative and your positive are going to give you a negative, and 4 times 3 is going to give you 12. Right. So let's go back to our sum and do it now. So equals, the 20 remains the same, so it doesn't, nothing happens. We're just going to put it down. Then our answer from that multiplication is negative 12. And 20 minus 12 is going to give you 8. Awesome. Right. Number 11. Go ahead and try this one on your own. Pause the video. In fact, I recommend you be pausing the video for every question that I do. It's just better for you, alright? Now, let's try this one. After you identify it, you realize, okay, there's a positive 6 here and there's a positive 5 there. Now, brackets of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So division comes first. So we're going to go ahead and do division over here. Alright? So a negative and a positive will give you a negative. Where am I getting these signs from, guys? It's the negative on the 8 and the positive on the 6. There we go. So put them together, decide what sign it gives us using the table from the other page. And it gives us a negative. Then we got 8 divided by 6. Actually, I think I wrote that sum wrong. It's supposed to be 18, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's supposed to be 18. Alright, so for this one, let's do 18 divided by 6, and that's going to give you a 3. So let's go back to our sum, equals the negative 18 divided by 6. We worked it out now, it gave us a negative 3. And the times 5, well, we never touched it. So bring it down. And then you got negative 3 times 5. So we identify that the 5 is positive and we do our multiplication. So negative and a positive will give you a negative. And 3 times 5 will give you 15. So your answer is going to be negative 15. Alright, number 12. Let's turn it up a little bit more. Make it a bit more tricky. I don't think I've lost you yet. I think you understand what's going on. In fact, I think you feel like this is really easy. So let's challenge ourselves, alright? So here's another sum. Alright, this one might look difficult, but there's nothing to stress about. BODMAS, brackets of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. Again, the first one we find is division over here, and it's a positive 3. So I want you to see how easy this is. All you gotta do is bring down everything that's not part of your current step. You're only doing one thing. You're only doing the division. So let's do that. So the positive 12 from the 12 and the positive from 3 will give you a positive, and then 12 divided by 3 will give you 4. So all you've got is a positive 4 just chilling in the middle over there, and that's alright. Then you're gonna look at the next step. We got division done. The next one is multiplication. So let's have a look here. Here's what's gonna be multiplied. The positive 4 times the positive 2. And then a positive and a positive will equal to a positive, and 4 times 2 will equal to 8. So that's gonna be a positive 8 over here. And the negative 15, it just came down. No hassle, nothing going on. Now with negative 15 and plus 8, now we come to a number line situation because you're adding and subtracting. So you're at negative 15 and you're going to jump 8 to the right. And when you do jump 8 to the right, you will find that you end up at negative 7. So your final answer is negative 7. Alright, let's keep it rolling. While we good, let's keep going. Pause the video and try this one here. 50 minus 8 times 4 plus 6 equals, as usual, no difference, same story. So, working outline, board mass, we're multiplying those. Remember, and notice what I'm doing. Whenever I'm taking a number to be multiplied, I'm taking the sign before it or before, even if it's dividing, but the sign before is important. And there's also an invisible plus over here. Now let's figure it out. So we got a negative and a positive, and that's going to give you a negative. And then you got 8 times 4, which is going to be 32. Then you come back to your sum. So instead of this, you write down negative 32, and the rest of your sum will come down as normal. Now, the next step is to do addition. Alright, so let's have a look at where our plus sign is. Alright, so our plus sign is here. Now, do you think it's going to be 32 plus 6? No, it cannot. It has to be addition of integers. It's negative 32 plus 6. So now let's do our number line. It's going to be negative 32 jumping 6 to the right, which will give you negative 26. So now you'll have the 50 and you'll have minus 26, and that should give you uh, an answer, sorry, an answer of uh 24. There we go. Alright, so that one's done. Now let's just do one more before I turn the page. No, actually let's just go to the next page. It's alright. Let's go to the next page. So with this one, number 14, we're adding a few more things into our mix now. Remember, it's no change. We're doing the same thing over and over and over until we master our structure. Alright, now let's start with the working. The first thing we realize is, okay, there's a bracket to do now. We're gonna do that. So negative 3 squared. So I'm doing my working out here. Negative 3 times negative 3, and that's gonna give me a positive 9. You should be familiar with that by now. So I'll bring this down, I'll bring this down, I'll bring that down, and I'll have a positive 9 over here. Alright, I'll carry on with my sum now. So I'll put that there. I'm going to do division now. So it's this here. It's that divided by that. So a positive and a positive will equal to a positive, and 9 divided by 3 will equal to 3. So I'll have a positive 3, and basically it's 5 plus plus 3. Now remember, when you have a plus and a plus together, it just becomes a plus. So it'll be plus, so it'll be 5 plus 3, and that's just gonna give you 8. Alright, so no biggie. I'm gonna stop there. So that's where I'm going to stop. But here's a few questions for you to practice and get the answers on your own. Alright, like a small activity. I'm just gonna write them out and cut the video. Minus 4 times the square root of 49 um, plus 10. Number 2. Alright, that's an activity to attempt. Let me know in the comments how you guys found this video, if it was helpful, if it assisted you, and you can go ahead and put your answers in the comments for this activity. I should put the answers for these questions maybe in a week or so. Alright, in the comments I should put them. Okay, thanks. Bye.